See you soon, December 28th. We are bringing in a new year together at What's the Word, the finale celebration. Use the unlock code EDEN to get a discount on your tickets. Found out if you are in Atlanta, you can go to the venue and you can avoid all the ticket fees by just buying a ticket in person. So I love y'all and I can't wait to see y'all soon. I did a video, maybe you guys remember it, about who's who. Like when I was saying like in life you gotta find out who's who. Like there are those who have grace for you, there are people that don't have grace for you, like people who are called to be in your life, who are not called to be in your life. Like, let's just talk about that concept for a second with people where they ask the question, well, how do I know who's supposed to be in my life? How do I know who the people who are called to be there? And I'm talking about the inner circle of my life. The people that I'm gonna do life with, the people that I'm gonna be able to walk with, that are gonna be able to see me, that I can be vulnerable with. How can you tell who is who? Like, because there's all different types of people that we meet. The people that you work with, there's people that, you know, you go to church with, there's people that you went to school with. Like, you ever had those people that, like, y'all was in class together, but they telling everybody that, oh, y'all cool. It's like, no, we're classmates. You see what I'm saying? So you have classmates, you have coworkers. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so many different types of people, but what I'm trying to talk about is the people that are gonna be in your inner circle, the people that are gonna be in your world, right? And y'all know Pastor talks about how you're supposed to qualify people for access, right? Like there's supposed to be a process someone should go through to be in your life. And so I'm sitting here, and because I love to make things practical, like he broke down like different types of people that you really gotta stay away from, but I'm not gonna talk about that right now. But watch this. I was really thinking about it to answer everyone's questions about like how can I tell, like, or how can I, what is the easiest way to begin to qualify someone for access to me, my heart, my life, my time, my energy? And again, this is not the people that you may end up working with. You may serve here and there, or you have to serve, or people you just go to church with. I'm talking about the people you invite into your life. I found it. Like, what qualifies someone for access to you? It's boundaries. Now, you've heard that before, like, oh, you're supposed to apply boundaries to your life. And, you know, my take was always, people always talk about boundaries to keep people out of your life. But from a different perspective, boundaries is an attempt to keep people in your life. Boundaries is literally telling someone your needs. It could be a communicating of expectations. It could be even guidelines about things you do not tolerate. Just making mention of, hey, like, I don't like when people speak to me in this way. You know, I don't engage in things like this. Like, you are setting the tone for someone, preferably early as possible, so that they can understand you, or at least get a pretty good idea of what it's gonna be like walking with you. And so if you can do that early on, watch this. If someone comes into your life, you're getting to know who they are. There's some things you may never, ever get a chance to bring up in a quote unquote a boundary, because you just don't know sometimes until certain things happen. And so let's say someone talks down to you, someone disrespects you, right? The greatest thing you can do, besides saying that they're a bad person, or maybe, you know, taking a shot at their character, let's say, hey, like, I do not like to be spoken to in that way. I'm gonna ask you just to please not do that again, right? They have two options. They're either gonna show you, watch this, and respect and honor your boundary, or they're not. And so the way you can qualify this person should have access to your heart, your time, your energy, is because the Bible tells us to guard our heart above all else, because the issues of life flow from that place. And from a different perspective on that is, most of the issues of life really do stem from the people we choose to do life with. If you choose to engage with somebody that does not honor your boundary, that was a choice. But you also can make a choice to say, I recognize that this person does not have the capacity, the bandwidth, maybe the emotional maturity, maybe the self-awareness to do life with me. So what do you do with that person? You have to decide what role they're gonna play. Or they could play no role at all. Meaning there are some people, you just don't give them access to your life. You choose not to cross paths with, you choose not to engage in conversation, you choose not to be in their midst. They could be detrimental, they could be toxic, whatever the reason may be. You could decide, you know what, based off what you've shown me, we can't do this per se. But if someone honors your boundary, they're like, you know what, if you didn't like that joke that I cracked, you didn't like, when I did this or how I spoke like this, I'm gonna show you that I have capacity to honor that. That person, especially with the leading of the Holy Spirit, can gain access to you because they're showing you they could be respectful, they can be honorable, they could hold you to high esteem. But the crazy thing is, you good. That don't bother me. That happens all the time. Watch this. If they can hold up your boundary, that is a clear sign that they can, quote unquote, be in your life. But if they can't, it's a telltale sign that they should not be in your life in whatever way they tried to be, because they cannot honor the boundary. Hey, what's up, you guys? Listen, if you want to grow deeper and kind of get in a community of people, like-minded people who are really trying to make progress, really trying to not just get momentum, but steward momentum throughout the year, listen, we have a dope team of people that put together a really cool program for me to be able to do this with you, be able to jump on calls with you, talk with you, help you with vision, help you with momentum, help them with forward progress. Listen, join my school community. It's called the Momentum Academy. I'll see you on the other side. And this is a new concept to a lot of people. Not a lot of people talk about boundaries a lot. Some people are being made aware of it, and it can get tricky. This is when boundaries get tricky. When you're trying to present a boundary in the middle of a relationship, when now that person's so used to maybe crossing your boundary or maybe doing the thing you hate, but you were quiet about it. You never said nothing. And so this is the part two of this. You got to give grace to the people that you never spoke up to about your boundaries, because they may not be a bad person, but they're just so used to engaging with you in a certain way where it's like, I can't make it seem like once you communicate your boundary, they're never going to do it again. They may make a mistake. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot you said you don't like that. And then there's some people that are like, oh my God, you switching up, you doing too much. Where is this now? Well, oh, since when do you? Like, all that language comes is because they're technically being introduced to a new you, even though you feel like this has been you the whole time. But you've been quietly, let's say, dealing with disrespect, dishonor, or ungratefulness, or not being appreciated in a certain way, or whatever the instance is. But that's the craziest thing is, the last thing I'll say on that is, because I've really been talking about abuse in relationship that's detrimental. Because there's so many different types of abuse. There's verbal abuse, there's emotional abuse, there's financial abuse, there's mental abuse, so many different types of abuse, down to even the silent treatment. You know how many people, couples, friendships, where people will put someone through the silent treatment? But that's a very toxic and manipulative and detrimental behavior. But a lot of people don't necessarily cut people off like that. They'll complain about it. They'll be like, oh my God, here they go doing the silent treatment. But that's a form of abuse. Now, there's abuse that is so detrimental. This is the crazy part. You can communicate and recognize the abuse that's taking place, but you have to know you have all the permission in the world, watch this, to separate yourself from abusive people and know that you did not fail them, you did not quit on them, you did not give up on them. Because there are people, let's say empaths, or people who really feel deeply like they don't want to leave so-and-so, they don't want to separate themselves from so-and-so, or they're so focused on protecting, guarding the emotions of another individual, but they're only betraying themselves. It only ends in resentment, and in everybody, it's just drama, it's strife, it just gets uglier and uglier. Like there's a quote they say, if you think having hard conversations is hard, try having those hard conversations after you was been supposed to have it, like, or not having the conversation whatsoever. Like that's a real thing. It's better that you have the conversation early than not have the conversation at all. And now it's like, it just gets so uncomfortable. And then some people don't ever make it out of abusive situations or abusive relationships, and it's horrible. But that's what I just wanted to talk about. It's like, when you're thinking about who you're supposed to be doing life with, early as possible, if there's anything that happens that's inconsistent with what you feel you need in relationships, communicate it. And people are either going to show you that they can honor your boundaries or your expectations or not. You see what I'm saying? And if it's detrimental, what they're doing to you, when you've communicated that, you have to make a decision to say, this is not for me. It just is not for me, to protect myself. Don't wait until you're in the end or in the middle of a relationship, because you teach people how to treat you. When you keep letting them get away with doing stuff and you think, no, I'm not going to say nothing, there's no badge of honor for that. You have to speak up. This is what I've learned. And the crazy thing is, and I'll say this and I'm done, so you can go. I'm the type of person where God raised me up to be a man who takes initiative, to fight for something, go after something. To make a long story short, God then took me into a season where he wants me to rest and let things come to me, let good things come to me, relationships come to me. And he had me in this season where he said, son, I just want you to be still, and anything that dies in this season, let it stay dead. Anything that stays alive or grows, let it grow. But this time it won't be at your hands. Well, you fought for this person, that's why they stayed. You begged this person to come back, that's why they still here. You begged this person to come and to do, and that's why they did. Like, this is something that I think is so practical for everybody to be able to practice. Allow people to do what they'd rather do. Like, you talk about what qualifies somebody, or you talk about if you really want to know somebody or accept someone for who they are, take a step back and allow them to do what they'd rather do. In a healthy relationship, you don't have to guilt trip. In a healthy relationship, you don't have to manipulate to get what you want. In a healthy relationship, you don't have to seek to control them. You see what I'm saying? These are all things that also started in the Garden of Eden because we ate that fruit. Conflict and relationships began in the garden. But it's so crazy, like, when you're doing life, and especially if all you know is to fight for everything, all my life I had to fight. If that's your reality, it will show up also in your relationships. So if you want meaningful relationships, it sounds crazy, but allow people to do what they'd rather do and trust that God will bring people into your life. Watch this, that have capacity to love you, that have the grace to love you. And if they don't, they're not bad people. They're just not your people. You see what I'm saying? And there's so many seasons to relationships, but that's where I'll end. You know what I'm saying? Because you're going to run into so many different people in the world. But when it comes to your inner circle, like, you got to make sure that they have grace to love you. They have mercy to cover you. And here's a fun thing that I've noticed. They have to have capacity to celebrate you. That's very vital. You don't want to be around people, even though people do struggle. The people that are always jealous, envious, or in strife or division or working against you, that's dangerous. But there's so many people that will compromise their destiny for company. And the whole time, ain't nobody outside coming at you. You got people in your circle that's coming at you. That's dangerous. And so you really have to be serious about your circles. And so many people don't know how to connect those dots on figuring out who plays what role, who knows what, who do I tell what, or if they should not be playing a role at all. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, it's the people you do life with. It really does have a direct correlation to how much meaning you find in life. Your relationship with God always will translate to your relationship with people.